Hey, so we're going to read a story today, and it's a complicated story. So I don't know how to introduce it. Better to say this is from the book. You Can't Tell Me What to Do. Other stories about teenagers. This particular story is called The Bottom of the Bottle. And the quick summary is Bill's mother was slowly drinking herself to death, and now even his kid sister's life was in danger. These are serious things. I mean, we can't really just gloss over them. I mean, I could just toss the book and talk about Billy's mother drinking herself to death and sister being in trouble, and you know you got to take it seriously. Drinking is not something to be taken lightly. Excuse me. So we got this kid Bill, right? Sometimes Billy, sometimes Bill. We'll get to that. And he's got a sister named Gwen. She's 8 years old. He's got a mother who has no name except for Mrs. Haynes. And Mrs. Haynes apparently is abusive to her kids, and that's not a good thing. So we get to the story. And by the way, let me just add that to make this even more complicated, Mrs. Haynes' mother, that would be Bill's grandmother and Gwen's grandmother, she knows all about this. So here we go. There's going to be a story. I want to skip some parts because having read through this just once, there are parts that just so stupid, I can't bring myself to share them with you. Fair enough, right? Here we go. Where did you put my bottle? Mrs. Haynes said. I know you know where it is. Okay, look, I get it. Moms say mom things. I know you know where it is kind of a stupid thing. It means nothing to anybody. Please, just no. No, Ma, I don't, Gwen said. I didn't hide it on you. Honest, I didn't. You little liar, Mrs. Haynes said. I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget. She grabbed the first thing she saw, a knife from the kitchen counter, and began moving toward her daughter. Seriously? Your daughter hid possibly, allegedly, a bottle of alcohol, and you're gonna go after her with a knife. Okay, there's a problem here. This is worse than alcoholism. This is like child abuse. Uh, girl backs up the door. Brother comes in. He runs over to the mother, grabbed her wrists, and shook them hard. Always works, usually with children who are talking. The knife clattered to the floor. Mrs. Haynes sank into a chair and started to cry. Here's a picture. Right, you see a chair there? No, there's no chair. Do you see a knife climbing the floor? No, you really don't. You just see a thing that looks like a knife kind of up in the air and stuff. I go with narp, but whatever. Suddenly, she seemed helpless and sick instead of the frightening, mad woman she had been before. Well, you know, speaking as a guy, all women are mad, and we know this, and we tell them, we say, yeah, you're mad. And then they go, that's sexist. How dare you call us mad? Well, see, here's a story that backs it up 100%. And I got to tell you, if it's in this book, that's real because I read it in a book. Stephen Colbert assured me that that was real. Anywho, blah, 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 blah. What kind of mother are you? He said, if you can call yourself a mother at all. Well, yeah, the standards to become a mother are very difficult. You first have to plop out a baby. Oh, how was it? Okay. Please don't talk like that. What was his accent wrong? Was he saying words in a different language? What does that mean? Don't talk like that. Does she mean don't say those things? Because that's a completely different thing. You know, I don't want to hurt anybody, least of all my own little girl. I don't know what came over me. Huh? We've heard all that before, Bill said. Let's face it, you're nothing but a drunk, a miserable, no good, rotten drunk. Well, good for Bill for calling it like it is. Speaking of which, I think I'm gonna butt my whistle. Man, that feels good. I wish I had an 8-year-old girl to beat up like Mrs. Sains, I guess. Not. You're right, she said. I am no good to anybody. You'd all be better off if I were dead. Well, possibly, but not the kind of thing you want to throw on your 8-year-old daughter and your 12-year-old son. I mean, isn't it a little rushed, a little hard, a little rough? Not very responsible. Bill had heard that line before, too. He knew his mother half believed what she was saying. Half believe, that's 50%. Did she half believe it? Did she 3% believe it? Did she 66? It's tough to know, right? He couldn't take it anymore. Yeah, so he took it last year and the year before and the year before, but now she crossed the line. Apparently, she did the same thing again and again and again and again, but this time he couldn't take it anymore. Okay. He said, we would be better off if you were dead. Oh, what a sweet kid. Ah, to show such love and admiration and respect for his mother. That's just awesome. Mrs. Haynes tried to light a cigarette, but her hands shook too much. She couldn't even get the match to light. Well, for one thing, nobody uses matches. You use Bic lighters or whatever else. They work. End of story. Second, if you can't get your match to light, well, there are other solutions. I mean, there's always the range. You can fire it up to high and then put your cigarette right in there. Fireplace, barbecue, any number of options. Apparently, she was unable to get a cigarette to light. What a horrible, horrible problem for someone to have in the modern era, even in the 1970s. But who knows? You can't leave me alone now, Mrs. Haynes said. I'll be all alone. You won't be alone, Bill shouted over his shoulder. Wait a second. So this is my shoulder. This is my mouth. This is me trying to shout over my shoulder. You can't be all blah, blah, blah. Come on. No one can shout over their shoulder. Okay. If you can, you are more limber than I will ever be. And then Bill added, you've always got the bottle to keep you company, which is great because, when I think to myself, I won't start with self, but when I think to myself, if I was going to have a party, I was going to have some badass fun, who would I want to keep me company? Would it be A, uh, Hollywood celebrities? B, basketball stars? C, Formula One racers? Also, I take some IndyCar guys like James Cliff and others who are good. Not the suck up to Tony George and the IRL group, but whatever. D, some number of 750 milliliter bottles made of glass. No, I don't think bottles would make good company, but it's a kid's perspective. So there you go. Gwen started to cry. Well, she's 8 and begged Bill to stay. Yeah. Long story later, Bill and Gwen, that would be the brother and the sister, go to Grandma's house. It's not discussed how they get to Grandma's house, so either Grandma lives very close by, or he's over 16 and has a car. But we don't know. Hey, you two, don't you know it's 11:30 at night? Grandma said. Well, okay. We kind of know that if it's at night, 11:30 is 11:30 at night. No one is going to think that 11:30 is 11:30 in the morning if they're coming at night. So, Grandma, please stop. And then she offers them a place to stay, and they say they're not sure they want a place to stay, and blah, 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 blah. And finally, Grandma comes into the bedroom and she says, I thought I heard something. Why don't you try to get some sleep? It must be 3 o'clock. Yeah, it must be 3 o'clock. Couldn't possibly consult your watch or the clocks or the computers or the microwaves or the VCR. It's 3 o'clock. Okay, whatever. I can't, Bill said. Bill, she said, seating herself on the edge of the sofa, don't make yourself sick with worry. Everything's going to work out. You'll see. One thing about life is that it never stays the same very long. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Blah, 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 blah. Next morning, daylight was just beginning to sweep into the room when Bill woke up. He was shaking and wet with perspiration. One of the better ways to be wet, so good for him. He heard fire engines screeching in the distance. Okay. Phone call came in. Bill answered it, and it was somebody wanting to speak to Grandma. She came to the phone. Her hands were shaking as she hung up the receiver. There's been a fire in your apartment, she said. Your mother and Gwen are in the hospital. So many issues. First, why would the fire people call Grandma? It doesn't make any sense. Why would they give her information over the phone? Doesn't make any sense. Why are Mom and Gwen in the hospital? We kind of thought Gwen was hanging out with Bill at Grandma's house. All confusing. As it turns out, Gwen left and went back to Mom's house. So obviously she wasn't very threatened, but it is what it is. How did the fire start? Bill asked, but there's 3 paragraphs here. We know how the fire started. Mom was smoking and she passed out. But let's hear from Mom's own mouth, shall we? I don't know, his mother said. It happened so fast. Well, that would mean that there's some period of observation where the things that you're observing occur at a rate higher than that you're ready to observe, right? One moment I was sleeping, the next thing I knew, the room was filled with smoke. Well, it doesn't sound like things happen fast at all. It sounds like 1 minute you were sleeping, and the next minute things were filled with smoke, but it wasn't really a minute, it was a long period of time. We go on. Mrs. Haynes, this is the point where we're going to reach the conclusion, and we're going to have a lesson. So I'm just telling you, this is where we're going to have a lesson. Mrs. Haynes sat in the corner by the bedside. She was shaking so hard she couldn't light her own cigarette. This seems like a common problem. They have things like on YouTube where You can use these mechanical alligator clips to hold on to things and do things with them. And Amazon sells them. They're like 10, $15. You can put your cigarette in one of these and have a lighter and light it up and have a good smoke. But no. So we go on. Blah, 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 blah. Finally, his mother reached into the pocket of the old raincoat she was wearing. Well, it's important to know that she was wearing an old raincoat because imagine if she was wearing a new raincoat. Some of these things just would not work because, I mean, things are different on new raincoats than they are on old raincoats. She had hidden a small bottle of whiskey in there. No, are you shitting me? You're telling me she actually hid whiskey in a raincoat? That's disgusting. How do you do that, by the way? Because these they don't fit in the pocket. Very difficult, very confusing, very complex. She turned to the side and quickly unscrewed the cap. Well, why did she quickly unscrew that cap? Why couldn't she just unscrew it like normal people? Just turn the damn thing till it's open. Unclear, don't know, not said. She put the bottle up to her lips. What? No glass, no ice? Ugh. And brought it down again half a dozen times without drinking. Half a dozen, last time I checked, was about 6. So really, she took this bottle. I wish I had a bottle to demonstrate with, but I don't. So we'll go with this. And took it up to her lips, half a dozen. Watch this. That was only 5. She did 6. Okay, now we got 6. What is the point of this story? Ugh. Bill looked up and saw his mother with the bottle almost to her lips. Well, wait a second. The bottle was up to her lips. She didn't take a drink from it. Don't look at me like that, she said. I can't help it. How do you know? Bill's voice was hard and flat. Oh, hard and flat. Let me try that one. Not really sure what hard and flat means for a voice, but let's try it. I'm going to say Netanyahu is a son of a bitch. No, that wasn't really hard. How about Mitch McConnell is a dick? Pretty hard, but not flat. Let's try flat. I'm going to go with I'm the Terminator. I think that's about as close as I get. So probably what the kid did is he said, I'm the Terminator. You shall drink no more alcohol ever, or something. You know. What do you want me to do? She pleaded. Okay, that's not a plea, that's a question, but okay. Try growing up, Bill said. Dude, she's like gotta be at least 20 years older than you to have blocked you out. So we're gonna go with she's growing up. How about shut the fuck up, show some respect, and if you have some request that you wish to make it, but be respectful. You don't understand, she said, raising the bottle to her lips. So that'd be like number 7. Is that, are we up to 7? But did she drink from it? We don't know. So we'll go with no. Right? Story is making me feel older just doing it. They stood glaring at one another in silence. One is the mother, and she's useless. The other is the kid, and he's not winning any points with me. I'm going to go with waste of time. Ah, come on, Clara, Grandma said. Haven't you caused enough trouble in one day? Oh my God, Mrs. Haynes has a first name. It's Clara. So just to fill you in, we got the cast, right? We got Grandma, no name. We got Clara Haynes, that's mom. we got Gwen, daughter, and we got Bill/Billy. That's the boy. We're getting somewhere here. I'll read you the last paragraph. It's just it's kind of like a denouement, but really it's more like let's just get some closure. Just then the doctor came out of the emergency room. He looked more relaxed than he had 2 hours before. Doctors never looked relaxed in the OR. She's gonna make it. Who's gonna make it? It will take a while, but she's gonna be okay. Okay, doctors don't say that. And now we're assuming he's talking about Gwen, but what the hell happened to her? It's not in this story. Bill could hardly believe his ears, just stood there in numb silence. Grandma clasped the doctor's hand and thanked him over and over. Bill's mother sank back in her chair. That's it, she said. Never again. She held her head in her hands and began crying from relief. Okay, you don't cry from relief. That's not a phrase. It's not how it works, but whatever. Despite himself, Bill felt some of the anger he had felt toward his mother draining away. He remembered Grandma's words. When it hurts more to go on drinking than it does to stop, that's when things will turn around. Could this be that time? He felt a glimmer of hope. Glimmer of hope. There's a moral here. Don't read stupid stories from the 1970s. See ya.